So this is an edited photo.
Oh, that
I want to show you, here is the before and here's the after. Here is a before. This is one that was not edited. So that's not edited. Do you see that? This one is edited.
Go back.
Do you see the difference?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Okay, so I just wanted you to see, like, on my computer. You can follow along on the TV, but on my computer it does look a little bit different. So you're like, oh, Kira, that's like kind of gross. It's really not what it was like. So I wanted to show you some really cool little tricks. So first of all, I have presets that I use. Your presets are right here in the top left corner. And really, let me actually start from scratch. So how you would import these, you open up Lightroom and it shows up library, okay? It might have you open a new catalog, or it might have you save a name. This is a catalog, it's called a catalog. And the catalog is just each session, you just select those photos for like project 1 or whatever. You can have a catalog that says project 1 and then a different catalog that says project 2 and work with them differently, or you could just be like basic digital photography and just keep adding to the catalog, whatever you want to do. So it's just a way of sorting it. And so right down here in the bottom left-hand corner is your import button. So first off, those photos would not be in there. It would just have like a blank slate kind of thing. You go in here and you can, if you saved your photos to your desktop, it's going to be in untitled up here, but right here down here, I have my external hard drive. So I have photos from, like I have Kate and Eric. I might jump over to those too. Those actually are super fun. So actually, what I'll do, here's open recent. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, it's not even showing open recent. So I'm gonna open up Kate and Eric instead, because this is like one of my favorite sessions of all history time. They're like the best ever. My husband keeps joking. He's like, Kira, your portfolio is just going to be Kate and Eric from like the whole year. I'm like, I know. I just love them. But they're so amazing. So just real quick while that opens and we reload or whatever, I wanted to show you. So as you click import, you would select the images. You come over here. Do you see documents, downloads? Wherever you save them to your computer, you would find them. Okay, when you bring them onto your computer, create a new folder, and then have them in that folder, and then you would be able to find the folder, and they'd just be there. Okay, and then they would show up, and they'd all be check marked, and then you would click import, and then up here it would have this tab and it says import photos and videos, and then it would show you how long it takes. Okay, so then we would have this. So it would look just like this, and this is where we left off. Then we go over to develop. This is where you edit your photos, okay? So over here in develop, I have presets that I use. There are tons of different presets you can buy out there. I've just found a couple that I really, really love and are my style. And as you like grow as a photographer, as time changes, things are always, like, styles are always changing, so you're gonna see things moving forward and you're gonna want to move forward too. So your style may change. My style has morphed over the years, so new things come and you're like, oh my gosh, I love that. And then eventually, like, maybe you'll have courage to go that direction, with your images or whatever. But it does take some courage, because if you've set a style, it's kind of hard to morph a little bit. So anyway, so we come over here. Here's one of Abby and Garrel. They live in London area. They are amazing, and They hired me to meet them in New York City and do a session. This is the second time they've hired me to go do a session for them. And so this is totally straight out of the camera. There's nothing that I've edited about this photo. This is just, if you see SOOC, that acronym stands for straight out of the camera. Okay? So if you come over here, really what I would do is I would come down to my presets, but I keep those kind of personal to me because I've had some really bad experiences, unfortunately, with people. It's really sad, actually.
Buying the same presets you use?
No, just I shared one with a fellow photographer. They were just like, "You've got to tell me what you've been using," and I told her, and then she started literally copying every single thing I did. So I was like, "Oh my gosh, I freaking finally found the look that I wanted. That was me." And now there's somebody doing the same thing, and I mean, she was copying exactly how I did everything. I mean, everything on so many different levels. So I've been burned. And so for my preset, I just keep that private. But you can find them on Etsy. You can Google them, and just keep, they're just fun little things. And what they are is when you click the preset.
And you can make your own presets.
Oh, too. Absolutely, you can. You can save. So what it is they're already, all of these things like your exposure, your tones, your coloring, all of that, what they do is they edit a photo, a specific coloring, and then they save it. And so when you hit the preset, it just goes boop, there it is, the coloring, the everything.
Oh.
It's super cool. So, but it's not going to be awesome on every single photo because every single photo, either maybe you overexpose a little bit too much or whatever. So you can adjust those things. So the preset is just a base, okay? And with each preset, I tweak it. It's called tweaking. You tweak it to where you make it your own. So it's just a base, okay, here, this is the base coloring that I really love, but I'm gonna make it my own. I add more warmth to it or whatever, you know what I mean? More contrast to it, less contrast, whatever it is. So that's what a preset is. So this photo right here, I've already had my preset set. And so what is really cool, I'll show you what I do. I would have come over here and clicked it. Then I would have tweaked it over here, maybe my exposure's down or whatever. Okay, so let me actually show you real quick the difference, how much you can change if it's a freaking RAW file.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Do you see that? It's insane. So if your photo is underexposed and it's down here, and you're like, oh my gosh, that image is ruined or whatever. Don't worry, because you can just go like this. Boom.
That's under tone?
Underexposed, sorry.
Okay.
I don't know if I said toned, but
the category you're in is called tone.
Yeah, tone.
Right.
The tone is your whites and your darks. So your exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. Okay, your highlights are.
You have to go in and play.
Yeah, you
do.
Forever.
It's a play.
Yeah.
It's play. Seriously, I mean, there are so many ways you can edit your photo. What I would encourage you to do is if you see something you like, if your initial reaction is oh my gosh, I really love that, don't keep messing around. Maybe tweak it a little bit more, but if you keep going, you're just going to dig yourself into a hole and you're I don't know anymore. I don't know. That's my life. I've
Go back.
Okay. Yeah, go back. Okay, so wait. So your highlights right here are just all the highlights. And on your camera, some of your cameras, when you take the picture, all of a sudden it'll flash the white parts, when you are looking at the image on your screen. All of a sudden it'll flash the white parts. It's flashing all the really super bright highlights, the really bright highlights. So maybe a window is really bright, so it'll flash the window. Those are your highlights. The whites are all the whites, obviously, in your image, so you can bring those way up or way down. It's insane, all that you can do. I don't even remember where it was at. I'm going to undo this. Edit, undo, undo. And then undo highlights, undo highlights. Okay, undo exposure. No, okay, redo exposure, okay. So your shadows are obviously all your shadows in your images, okay? That's at 37. You bring them down, or if you don't want any shadows at all, that you bring them right up. Did I say 37? Okay, 37. And then your whites down here, we already talked about that. And then your contrast. Okay, so what a freaking difference. Is that insane? It's insane. It's so crazy. So, and then your blacks are all your blacks. Like if you have like really dark something, like if it turns out like this, you're like, whoa, that's way too dark. You can either like, there are ways just like your trio of things of compensating for light in your camera. There are ways you can compensate here in Lightroom too. Like, okay, it's too dark, it's ishy like that. So we'll pull the contrast back. You know what I mean? You can kind of move them back and forth until, you know, you like a combination, which could be days and forever. So, you know, you just have to not mess around too much, or you'll get you'll drown in all the ways. Clarity is really cool. So like it'll pump up. Let me move in closer. So it's kind of grainy though when I move up the clarity, but do you see it change? So right here, if it's like all the way to 0, it'll have this glowy effect, which there are some filters out there that do that, like Snapchat have like that glowy and add makeup to you. It's like without clarity, okay? And then if you add clarity to it, it kind of looks kind of punky a little bit. So people do this with landscape photos, you know, would be kind of cool to pump up, not necessarily 100, I mean, I don't know, maybe, but it also makes your image look a little bit sharper. So if you have an out of focus, you could add like plus 10 or 15, and it could add a little bit sharpness, make the eye be like, oh, that's in focus or whatever, when you're actually just tricking people. It's not really, but. And then your vibrance and saturation, which are what those are. So that's what the presence is clarity dehaze. I never mess with dehaze, but it's just like,
makes it yellow.
It just dehazes your image. Like, so if there's fog or whatever, it adds more. Yeah, I never use that ever, never. So, and then your white balance up here is your color temperature. So this is at 5,000. So you can have it, look at that. Isn't that insane? This is a raw file for you people. It's so freaking awesome. It was about right here. And then your tint is obviously just green and red. Okay? And I did not see where that was, so I'm just going to do. So, okay. So down here, I went in, I tweaked what I wanted, and I'm going to show you a couple other really cool things in here. If we have some, we should have some time. We should have time. So, I come down here, over here. This is all the lineup of the photos. So I wanted this photo. I really loved this photo, which is zoomed in. I love this photo. What I would initially do, even before I started editing my images, do you see that little flag down there? Beep, 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 beep. Do that to that tiny little flag in the top left-hand corner of the photo. Okay, so if you hover on the image in Lightroom, it like that little flag shows up, and you just click that flag right there. You click it, and then it's flagged. Okay. So for me, that's how I choose my images. So I go through the whole thing and choose my images first. And that way, when I'm done choosing this filter, you can filter it to only the flagged items. Mm. What? So these are all the pictures that I chose, and only the pictures that I chose. Okay? So these are all the other images that I've edited, you know, for the session. But this is the one unedited image that I have that I want to have the same look as this one. You can copy and paste it. What? Yep. Okay, so you would right click, go to develop settings, and you can there are two ways of doing this. You can copy the settings and then hit copy, or And then what you would do is you would move over and select the photo. And if you had a whole bunch of different photos with the same lighting, the same settings, everything was the same, just like this whole part right here, what I do is I select all the photos, all of them. And just see, it's different over here, but as all these ones by the wall kind of look the same a little bit, I would right click and then develop settings, paste. And they would all paste on to all of those photos.
Better than making 75,000 presets.
Oh yeah.
Because I have like presets like just a bazillion.
Yep, it's amazing, isn't it?
Bazillion.
It's amazing. So I'm gonna undo that, paste settings, and I'll show you another way.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
once you play with it, it's
Yeah.
way easier.
yeah, it is. Okay, so
right now
here's,
And YouTube videos. That's how I taught myself
YouTube
Lightroom
is
on
awesome
YouTube.
too. YouTube is awesome. If you ever have a question, there's always an answer. There's always an answer, and you can find it quickly on YouTube for editing and stuff. So, okay, so here's the other way, okay? So if I have a specific photo that I'm looking, this is the way I've been doing it, is I just kind of select the around photos or whatever, and then keep it on this photo. So I edit one photo, I love how it looks, I tweaked it, it's ready to go, but now I want to apply it to all my other ones. I would keep it on this photo, and I would right click on the photo that's edited, and I'd go to develop settings and then sync settings. Sync them together. And that would do the same exact thing. That would have the same effect. The reason why I do that over copying the settings is that I would have to recopy every single different thing, and they might be different. So when you have close-ups, like these ones, the close-up ones rather than the ones further away, the settings are going to be a little bit differently. They're always going to be a little bit different no matter how far you are or how close you are, because the lighting is different. It's different. So I would select all the close-up ones, and then I'd sync those settings, and then I'd select all the further away ones and then sync those ones. You know what I mean? Instead of copying one setting and then applying it to it all and then having to adjust more, you save time. This is called batch editing, where you edit multiple images at a time. And then I would go back through, and then I freaking love this. I love this one. It's like, they're the best. I would go back through and I would adjust, maybe the exposure was a little bit off in just one of the or two of the photos. I would just go back and retweak them just very, very slightly, each one. And some of them don't even need tweaking. They're like, oh wow, that's perfect. I don't even need to touch that. So, and some photos are like, whoa, that's really different. But like something with the light and the coloring was different about that, and I'll have to really tweak that specific one a lot. It's weird. So it just depends. So here's our unedited. I'm going to sync this one right to the sync settings. Synchronize. And so now it's edited. And then this is the difference between the two. Not that one. Sorry. There you go. So there's a little bit of difference. It looks different on my...
It looks different on the TV a little bit.
It does. It's different. It's like way contrastier. Okay, so right here is where you would select that. Like here, this is the before and after, and there are ways of seeing the before and after. You can do a split, like in the middle, and it'll say before, after, and then you hit it again, and it'll have top and bottom. You hit it again, and it'll do it this way. So whatever, I don't know, there are like different ways you can have it. And then to just see the one photo, you'd come back over here. Okay, so with that being said, this client, she was like really, really, really super self-conscious. She's like, Kira, I've gained so much weight. I'm really, really like nervous about how I'm gonna look in the images. I'm gonna go and show you how, because certain angles you can take and you're like, whoa, that doesn't even look like them. They look so much chubbier or whatever than they actually do. And you don't want them to get their photos and be like, oh my gosh, my arms, my face. You know, as women, where we look at it and we're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, and when we're standing there and our arms are to the side, usually when I pose, I have them pop their arms out a little bit, because when our arms to the side, it squashes our arms. So even if you don't even have arms, you suddenly look like you have arms. You know what I mean? It's just such a pain in the butt. So I'll show you something really cool in Photoshop real quick, which is the liquefy thing.
Yeah.
What?
How to drop 10 pounds?
In 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah. The arm
So
strength, that's a good one.
I'll select this and then I'll right click it, edit in Photoshop CC 2019. So this one I was like, well, it's weird because I don't know. She was looking at me at a weird angle and I feel like she's going to be really upset about her face. Cause like in the other photos, it doesn't like, she doesn't come off as like that. In this one too, like when she has talked like her chin or whatever,
Yeah,
like,
chins.
so,
The
did
chins
it
are
come
the
up?
worst. We need an unchin button.
And
A chin smooth.
a chin smoothing button. Yeah, for real. Okay, so while that's loading into Photoshop, it's just taking forever because I'm recording my screen. Let me show you down here. This is your tone curve. So underneath the presence here, the tone curve. And this is like the highlights of the overall image, the lights, the darks. It's just another level of being able to adjust, which means like, if you like, it just means that you can recover so much and really save an image if it's like really underexposed or whatever. And I'll show you down here, so like the shadows and all that stuff. And it'll show you like, okay, here are the shadows down here, and then here are the highlights. Do you see it's peaking up here at the highlights? So I like to bring the highlights down a little bit so it's not as like contrasty, because I really love dark darks. And if you have the highlights really high, like if you have, so it's -60. If you have the highlights like way up here, it's a little bit too contrasty for me, because I like having a little bit more softness to everything. So that's my personal style. So thank you.
She's cute.
And she is super cute, and she's so much freaking fun. Oh my gosh, they are awesome. Okay, so it loaded. So here is my Photoshop. This is one super quick, easy thing. I'll show you a couple other things too. Are you guys good on time? It's 11:33.
I probably have to leave in like 5 minutes, but I want to watch
Okay. Liquefy. I know you have to leave. So oh my gosh. So I'm going to keep going with this video, and you guys can leave, okay? And then you can watch the video, because I really want to show all these things. So here's your size. Okay, so what I did is I went up here to filter. And liquefy is like what like when you see somebody's photoshopped skin, you're like, wow, that was photoshopped or whatever, like on a magazine. Liquefy is what they do. So here's my brush size, and it just moves things like this. Ready? So
Watch it.
The get skinny button.
the get skinny button.
Oh my.
Okay.
But it doesn't distort the background too much.
So
Whoa.
what a freaking difference from a weird angle, or something was weird about it. What a difference that's going to make for her.
Before and after.
Yeah, I'm
Side.
flipping.
Yeah.
This is before, and this is after.
Look how pudgy your cheeks were.
Yeah. It just makes such a difference, especially with arms. Arms are super easy because they're on the outside.
Yeah.
Just move those arm lines in, and it just changes, really, for me, it's worth going into Photoshop and changing. If my client's going to be like, either they're going to say, oh my gosh, my arms, or they're like, oh my gosh, I really like how I actually look in this image. Because most of the time when our images are taken, it's not totally how we look and how people perceive us. So I don't drastically do things. I do them just a little bit, and that just a little nip, just so it can make my clients feel like confident in how they look, because they are beautiful. Like it's that's how I perceive them. So a weird angle is not how the world perceives them, you know?
Well, and then like you do so much wedding photography too that like that's what everybody's like you aren't wearing sleeves, so.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly it. So I'm gonna keep going. If you have to leave, it's amazing. It's amazing. Another really cool thing before you leave, just real quick.
Now you can only do that in RAW, correct?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can do it in a JPEG. Like I said, it's just like more 1D rather than, or I mean 2D rather than 4D. You know what I mean? So like it's just way more. When you apply these coloring, oh here, let me try this. Okay, so let me export. Okay, this image right here. Let me export it. She's like giggling or whatever. So to export or save your images, you come over here to File, you have your image selected, Export. You hit Export, File, Export. This thing will come up. You just make sure it's JPEG and sRGB, the quality's at 100, and that's really all I'm looking for. And then over here is your folder, so you can choose where it's saving to. And then I want this to save to my desktop. So I hit Choose, Export, then it'll show right here, Export one file. So it's going to export that really quick. Okay, I hit that. I want to show you just really quickly the difference. While that's exporting, I just want to show you the difference between the JPEG and the RAW file editing it. These, I wanted to show you what these are. These are the colors. It's so crazy what you can do. This is really where presets are, the style of an image is really shown. So you can change your oranges.
Oh.
Oranges are usually your skin tone. Okay? And then you can change the saturation. So if somebody's skin is super orange or whatever, well, you can bring it down. You can brighten it up if it's like really dark. The luminance, the saturation, and the hue. You can see the color too. So if you want your oranges a little more red, like have a little bit more red toning to them, you can bring it down just a little bit. And then your reds. If you want them to be a little bit more orange to kind of like, you know, mesh with your images a little bit better, you can do that too. Your greens. Have you noticed when people edit their photos, either like the greens are gone or they're like a different color or whatever? This is really the trendier thing, is to find your own style with the green tones. I really love the look of like pine green and certain like darker tones of green. So when I hate neon grass, like when the sun is shining and it's neon, oh my gosh, gag me with a spoon. That's just not my thing. I don't care for that. I love a glowy look or just like a dark, you know what I mean? And that's where you can come and change this. So the greens, you can change the greens, the blues. If there's a weird color in there at all, you can come in here and fix it.
Huh.
Okay? And then the split toning. So you can add a specific color to your highlights. We talked about highlights, right? And your shadows. I like having more of a, like this is without that. And then I add this in, and it adds more warmth to my picture, okay? So it's like at 42, which is like kind of in the reddish, orangish, warmy coloring, okay? So you just you can change it. Split toning is really, really like where it's at when it's coloring, like presets and stuff. And the highlights, you know, those are the same thing. Like if I wanted bluer highlights, like that, okay? Or if I wanted more green highlights, or if I wanted more red light highlighted, you know, it just like changes your image so much. Do you know what I mean? Like if you wanted all your images to have like a cooler effect or whatever, you could move it over to blue. But it was so white and so dead that I like to have more of a warm look to my images. It brings life. So I don't know, that's my style. Okay, really, really freaking quick. Oh wait, no, not this. Not this. Sorry, you guys, I want to do this fast. There's so much. Okay, so I'd go back to import, okay? So that photo was saved. I'm going to import that one photo. I go back to my untitled, right here. And then, where's my desktop? Right there. So then all these things are on my desktop. Oh, that's my spine, by the way. I had surgery last summer. So it automatically selects all the photos on your desktop. I don't. If you're only trying to select a specific amount, you just click that button right there, and then you can come down and click whatever photo you want. But let me come back up.
I have to go.
Okay.
Kira,
Yeah.
do you have my photo still from the I think
Sorry.
oh my gosh, the Treasure Gems photos?
Yeah.
Do you have, like, can we show them that, or
Not right this second.
because Munchman probably wants to print out also, if you can.
I'm sorry, what?
Like, if you can print them out, like, mail them, like, put them.
I had given you guys a gallery so you could download them. I did take the gallery away because I had to make more space.
Can you email them to my sister Kelsey, or?
I think so.
Alright.
Yeah.
Alright, I'll see you probably.
Bye. See you later.
Yeah,
Okay.
Saturday.
So here's even a JPEG. It's not even the one that we saved, but I'm just gonna import it because it's taking forever because I'm just doing that. Okay. So it imported. It's a new import. So over here, if you look on the thing, it's a previous import. I select that, develop it. It's a picture of myself that one of my students took last year. So at the end of the class, we're going to take some self-portraits of each other with my studio lighting and have some fun with it. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So right here, you're good.
You're gonna do all that editing.
So look though, the difference. I mean, you can still edit it a little bit, but in some tones and stuff. But it's the detail and stuff is not going to be as great. This is only a JPEG. So
Even
Yeah, you
that,
can only go so far with it.
yeah, yep. And then the coloring, like let's see, my oranges. You can take certain things away and make them happen. But it's just there's so much more. You can recover so much more when let me go back and select the other. You can recover just so much more when you have a raw file. So there's just way more color that's captured and whatnot. Okay. I guess let me find, I don't know, maybe I'll just take this for instance. Okay. This photo right here. So maybe these lines in the background, see, they don't bother me, but if they did, I can remove them. It's crazy. So what you would do is you would take this little button, and it's this little circle right here, and what it does is it clones it or it heals it. So healing is more for like pimples and stuff or whatever on the face. So even like, let me zoom in on her face even. And okay, so this is the size of it. I'm bringing down the size. Do you see how it gets smaller and smaller? This is how I move it. Okay, so there's these little scratches down here on her face, right? Which I wouldn't normally take the time out of doing this out of every single photo. So I would just drag this, and it's set on clone, which it would take the exact same thing. But if you click heal, it takes into consideration all the things on the face, and then you hit done, and they're gone. So
Nice.
whoops, hang on. So wait, where did
You would have to do that individually on each picture then.
Yes, you would.
You couldn't
Okay,
just
that's
say,
yeah.
go
So
back in.
there, I was trying to go back to it. Sorry. Okay, so it's deleting it. Sorry, it's taking so long. My computer's taking so long. So there are the scratches. And then there they are. They're gone. So it's really amazing. Like even her piercing, like something more drastic like this.
Even delete.
Yep. I'm going to do it on clone because I want it to be more specific. Gone.
Huh.
I could even take out all of her piercings if I wanted to.
And like tattoos? You
Uh-huh.
could take,
Uh-huh.
That's kind of cool. See? I always told my daughters if you get tattoos, make sure you don't put it where you don't want it, so when pictures and stuff get done, you never know.
You never know.
You never know. Do you want that ever visible? And now look at, it doesn't even matter because you can erase them.
You can erase them. Isn't that the weirdest thing?
Yeah. I should say go get tattooed all up now, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh, so funny. So I'm picky. I would go in and like just do this until it was all set. But
That is so cool.
isn't that weird? So maybe
You do
I'd
an
like
eye
fix this
lift
part.
and-
Oh yeah, yeah, look at they're like gone
Yeah.
from her face.
Magic.
So there's like it looks like she might have some discoloring or whatever, like, so it's not perfect. I would just keep going until I found, and you can move, this is where it's getting its information from, you can move that until, because sometimes it doesn't automatically get the right spot. So isn't that weird?
Now how much, now they had you go to New York City to do this.
Uh-huh.
And just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
How much did you charge somebody to go and do a photo shoot like that?
Well, so I love traveling, so I try to make it as least expensive for my clients as possible for me to come. My husband came with, and we ended up staying with a friend of mine, and so stay was free. But I charged them an extra $100 for travel, like gas and some food and stuff. But my normal portrait session is 325, and so I charged them 425.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad. And she randomly found me like on the internet. They live in London.
That's what I thought you
Yeah,
said, London.
totally
London.
like
Not London,
random. I'm like,
Ontario.
how did you find me? She
Oh.
goes, I don't know, but I love your work. Will you drive up and meet us? I was like, heck yes.
So how many photos do you do for them then? I mean, once you're done
Okay,
editing
so
and
it's
all of that,
different because this was like a special thing and it was in the city, and usually I give back around 100 and 125. I tell my clients though about 50 to 75 photos, and then I usually give them more than that. But just to be safe, if something happens and the kid is like the kids are like being unruly, I just want to make sure they get at least that much. Do you know what I mean? That's
Right.
like the minimum. So, but for them, I ended up giving them 412 or 415. I took, down here the number is 2,951. So,
Alright, so how big a card are you putting into your?
oh yeah, I had a 128 gigabyte memory card.
Okay.
Yeah, and I brought with all my other ones too, just in case if we were to go wild.
And then you can delete everything off and then use that card again.
Uh-huh,
correct?
uh-huh.
Or once you
Yep.
download it to your computer,
Yep.
then take
How do you
everything
know
off.
when your card is full? Will it
It'll tell you. It'll
on
tell
your-
you. Yep.
On your camera.
Yep, so real quick, I just want to go one more, just a little bit lower. Sharpening right down here is your detail. You can sharpen your image. So let me come back close. So let me get a little bit closer. So here's no sharpening. Okay. And then here's all the way sharpened. Did you see it change a little bit? And then sometimes because it's the ISO is high or whatever, my ISO was very low for these because even though it was darker out or whatever, it was still very bright. It was like those weird, bright, cloudy days. And then I would do is, whoops, not that. Nope, undo. What I would do, this is where we get our noise, that grain away. Remember I was telling you about that trick? So if we get up a little bit closer, you can kind of see like her skin is, because we sharpened it so much, you know? So I would bring, look at that. Did you see that change?
Yeah.
Noise reduction. Gone. To bring that up or whatever, you don't even need like a ton, I would say 54. And then to keep the detail in the photo, I bring that detail right back up and it just recovers some of that detail. So you can sharpen your images if you feel like they're not like totally in focus, but you still want them to like look like they're, you know, not like super blurry, you know. You'd come down, you can pop the sharpening up, and then if it's really, really noisy after that, or even if you just have a noisy picture and you want to fix it, that's what you come down here. You bring the luminance up and then the detail up. I don't mess with any of these things down here. That's really all you have to do. And then if you would want to, sometimes, like with my wide angle, it enable profile corrections. I would click that. And what it does is it just kind of fixes the natural vignette that it does on your camera or from your lens. Do you see how it changes that a little bit? So I don't necessarily like that it's super bright, so I can bring that vignetting back down. You know what I mean? So I do that for my wide angle because on my wide angle pictures, it looks a little bit too fisheye. Another way to fix that is the distortion. You can bring those back and forth and back and forth. And so that is that. I utilize that sometimes too. If you don't want to mess with that and you only want a vignette, like you want it to be more vignette-y, you click manual under lens corrections here, and then you bring the vignette down. Do you see it getting darker? But it's like very lined. We don't want it to like look like the old Olin Mills vignettes.
Right.
We don't want that. So your midpoint down here, it feathers it, so it makes it a little bit more gradual, so it's not like that Olin Mills. So, and then there's like transform, and if like there's something weird, like this one, when we were in the subway, I really had to, let me go, darn, let me get to all my flags. These are all the photos I gave them. So this one, right, is it this one? Nope, it's this one. Maybe, I don't know. But what I can do is fix, you know how they kind of look a little bit weird and off to the side? Like you can change that down here. It's transform. And horizontally, you can make it, okay, come on, you can do this. So you can make it flip. Do you see that? The perspective changes.
Wow.
And then what you would have to do, because it's that white, you just have to crop it and make sure that it's not in that, you know.
That's kind of neat.
Isn't that crazy? So like, we cropped it and then, whoops. So this is what it was, and then we kind of just,
And this is Lightroom.
this is Lightroom. And this is the desktop version, like the one you can do on your computer. The one on your phone won't have as much capabilities, but it can do like editing, you know, color temperature and the white balance and the shadows and stuff like that. You can even sharpen, I'm sure. And then down here, the effects, post-crop vignetting. So if you know you're going to be cropping a lot, what it does is it takes the vignette totally out of totally out, like, and you want it to stay. Like, if I wanted to crop this to where it was like way down here, and I just wanted their faces or whatever. It's a little bit blurry, because we zoomed in so much. But what I would do, there's no vignette anymore. What I would do is I just add vignette. This is adding the vignette after the crop. Ooh, look at that. There's the Olin Mills.
Yeah.
So you can go the other direction with both things, like this vignetting. You can do, so let me reset that crop. This is your cropping tool right here. Oh my gosh. Let me bring that, because we had changed that. So, this isn't even my favorite picture. It's just a weird angle. It's not even in total focus. See, I give my clients photos that aren't even like totally perfect. So I'm like, oh, they're being super sweet or whatever in that photo. And so right here, okay. So this, you can vignette, like if it's really dark on the outside edges, you can make them white instead of, you can whiten it instead of, you can do the opposite effect
Maybe
of the
you
black.
can go to London and do them.
I know, well, she said when they get married, she's gonna fly me over there, so. I'm like, yes, please, please.
That would be so cool.
They're so awesome. I just love them. I love, and these ones are so dark, but I love, I mean, look at the befores. Wait, here, this is really cool. Look at the before and after. And this is a huge reason why post-processing is so important sometimes.
Which one's the before?
Before and after.
Ah.
So it was so blue. You see that? When it's dusk or whatever. But I still want the warmth I want it to match the other photos too, the warmth in the other photos. Like so, and another, these other ones, these ones right here, the befores and afters are crazy too. Like there's just so much more color in there. And so that's a before and after too. And it's not everybody's style, you know what I mean? Like maybe somebody really likes it bluey like that, you know? But I like more warm tones. I love the warm glowy lights. I love it's just romantic to me. I love the black and white ones though that we took. These ones are dark, but I love them. I love them dark. They're so sweet. You know, just with the city in the fog. It was the weirdest day ever. The girl we visited and stayed with, she's one of my great friends. She was like, this is the weirdest day ever. She's like, it never snows and stays. So the one day that we had our session, it snowed and it stayed. It was so weird. It was so weird. And it was like half raining the whole day, half snowing, and we were just off gallivanting everywhere. And then we found this like little shop that had like these little cake pop things with these little things. She found this place on Instagram. She's like, let's go there. So we just like ran across the whole entire city just doing this session. So
Were these
anyway,
like her engagement shots or?
no, they're actually not even engaged yet, which is interesting because usually I only do that like, you know what I mean? But they've been together for a little while, and the first time I did it, she was hoping for him to propose during it or whatever.
Right. And she was
And then
probably the second time too.
And well, by the second time, she's like, wow, I know him a little bit better at this point. He's gonna do his own thing. You know what I mean? So, but New York City is like their favorite place. And so they want to just capture their time there, you know what I mean, together. And so that's one of the reasons why she hired me, because she just like, instead of like having cell phone pictures and trying to prop it up and take pictures, you know,
I still can't believe she found you like that.
Isn't that weird? It's the
like
weirdest
meant
thing.
To be.
Yeah, it was just really cool.
So
It was
Kira,
cool. Yeah.
I take this.
Okay, so let me show you. So hang tight. I'm gonna I'm gonna stop this. I'm pretty much done editing. We didn't even